Friends from the media, good afternoon. Welcome to today's press conference. Now the floor is open. In 2013, President Xi Jinping proposed the initiative of building the Silk Road economic belt during his visit to Kazakhstan. The Belt and Road Initiative has since become one of the most popular global public goods. Could you share with us China's expectation for future cooperation? Central Asia is not only the place where the Belt and Road Initiative was first proposed, but also a pace-setter in high-quality Belt and Road cooperation. All 5 Central Asian countries have signed BRI cooperation documents with China. Together, China and Central Asian countries have implemented a series of signature projects designed to boost development and make lives better for the people. Trade between China and Central Asian countries hit a record high of $674.15 billion in 2024, up by 116% compared with that of 2013. Through the China-Kazakhstan crude oil pipeline project and China Central Asia gas pipeline project, we have found a new model of mutually beneficial cooperation. And the China-Tajikistan highway, the China-Kyrgyzstan-Uzbekistan highway have taken regional connectivity to new levels. Practical cooperation is expanded to digital economy and green transition. China has mutual visa exemption with Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. At the second China Central Asia Summit to be held later this week, heads of state will jointly draw a new blueprint for future cooperation, open up new space for Belt and Road cooperation, and build an even closer China Central Asian community with a shared future. Next one, please.
中国外交部长已同伊朗和以色列外长进行了通话。中国外长表示，攻击核设施是危险的。中方是否认为冲突可能扩大或升级为更广泛的战争？中方采取了哪些措施，防止战争蔓延到其他中东国家？ You asked 2 questions. On the risk of the enlargement of the conflict, let me stress that China is deeply concerned about Israel's attacks on Iran, which caused the abrupt escalation of military conflicts. We call on parties to immediately take measures to ease tensions as soon as possible, prevent the region from falling into greater turmoil, and create conditions for returning to the right track of solving issues through dialogue and negotiation. On your second question about China's effort of mediation, let me stress that if the conflict between Israel and Iran continues to escalate or even enlarge, Middle East countries will be the first to suffer. Foreign Minister Wang Yi has had telephone conversations with Iranian Foreign Minister and Israeli Foreign Minister respectively, calling on both sides to resolve differences through dialogue. Relevant parties need to take measures immediately to stop further escalation and cool down the situation. Let me stress that force cannot bring lasting peace. All international disputes should be settled through dialogue and consultation, and only by upholding the vision of common security can the legitimate concerns of all parties be thoroughly addressed. China will continue to maintain communication with relevant parties and promote talks for peace so as to avoid further turmoil in the region. Next one, please.
In a recent statement, Brazil, the BRICS chair, said Vietnam becomes a BRICS partner country. What's China's comment? China welcomes Vietnam to become a BRICS partner country. Vietnam's engagement in BRICS cooperation is conducive to the country's own development and is also in the common interest of BRICS countries and the Global South. We believe the Vietnamese side will contribute much to the BRICS mechanism. A new partner country joining the BRICS family demonstrates that the BRICS mechanism has greater representation and BRICS sees its appeal and influence grow more salient. China stands ready to work with other BRICS members and partner countries to jointly foster a more comprehensive, close, practical, and inclusive partnership, advance the high-quality development of greater BRICS cooperation, and make greater contributions to safeguarding multilateralism, defending fairness and justice, and promoting common development. Next one, please.
Just a quick follow-up.
法新社追问关于伊朗和以色列的问题。中方与伊朗方面有没有进一步的接触？中方认为，实现和协议是可能的吗？
As I just mentioned, Foreign Minister Wang Yi had phone call with foreign ministers of Iran and Israel to call for peaceful settlement of the situation and play its part in de-escalation. As for the prospects of Iranian nuclear negotiation, China always advocates the peaceful settlement of Iranian nuclear issue through diplomatic means, and we are willing to continue to maintain contact with all parties and play a constructive role in this regard to promote political settlement of the issue and create a better environment for this. Next one, please. It is reported that the U.S. Embassy in Panama said the U.S. government will work with Panama's Ministry of Public Security to add 7 new communications towers with secure American technology in 2 years in place of installed Huawei telecommunications equipment. The embassy said the U.S. is working to counter the malign influence of China throughout the hemisphere, making the Americans stronger and more secure. Panamanians President responded that the U.S. Embassy should refrain from making public pronouncements regarding decisions that are only made by the Panamanian government. What's your comment? The U.S. has long been engaged in eavesdropping, surveillance, and cyber attacks in Latin America and Caribbean, which exerts malign influence on the Western Hemisphere and makes countries in the American continent less secure. China, as always, supports Panama and other LAC countries in upholding independence and opposing domineering and bullying practices, as well as external interference. China's friendly cooperation with LAC countries follows the principle of mutual respect, equality, mutual benefit, openness, inclusiveness, and win-win. We never seek a sphere of influence or engage in political competition, still less coerce other countries into picking sides. The LAC region is no one's backyard. The U.S. should stop the condescending and domineering moves, politicizing trade and tech issues, interfering in other countries' internal affairs, undermining their sovereignty and independence, and coercing them into picking sides and limiting their cooperation with China. Instead, the U.S. should contribute more to make the region more peaceful, stable, thriving, and prosperous. Next one, please.
日本广播协会
NHK, the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, today launched its annual assessment of nuclear powers, which estimates that China now has 600 nuclear warheads, ranking the 3rd in the world. And it is growing faster than any other countries by about 100 new warheads a year. What is your comment on this?
China has no comment on the relevant report. Let me stress that China follows a nuclear strategy that focuses on self-defense always keeps its nuclear capabilities at the minimum level required by national security and never engages in arms race. China follows a policy of no first use of nuclear weapons at any time and under any circumstances, and has committed unconditionally to not using or threatening to use nuclear weapons against non-nuclear weapon states. China is the only nuclear weapon state to have adopted such a policy. China will stay firmly committed to safeguarding its own legitimate security interests and keeping the world peaceful and stable. Next one, please.
You
法新社据报道，中国正考虑取消对英国议员的制裁。这些议员以前因为新疆问题被制裁。上周，中方和英方官员在伦敦会见的时候，是否谈及了此事？中方对此有何评论？
I don't have information regarding the specifics of your question. I would like to stress that this issue was started by the UK by imposing sanctions on Chinese personnel, and China imposed sanctions as a countermeasure. The facts are clear to see. Mutual benefit and equality is the basis of developing bilateral relations and also the principle of solving any issue. Next one, please.
Hi, thank you. A question from Bloomberg.
彭博社，华盛顿邮报正在调查一些记者的电子邮件账户遭到网络攻击的事件。黑客入侵是首先由《华尔街日报》报道的，认为这次黑客攻击可能是由外国政府所为。国家安全和经济政策团队的记者，包括报道中国的记者，都成为了攻击目标。中方对此有何评论？
I'm not familiar with what you mentioned. Cyber attacks are the common challenge faced by all countries. China always opposes and responded to any sort of cyber attacks, and we are willing to work with all parties to deal with cyber threats through dialogue and cooperation. Next one, please. Any other questions? That's all for today. Thank you for coming.